Well, hello and welcome to this Fotospeed video. This is an extra video that we thought we'd do, talking through actually how we created the profiles for the 8750 and creating those perfect black and white prints coming out of this printer. If you haven't watched that video, jump back and watch it first, because this will all make sense as long as you've watched that video. Now, very simply, what we did was we took our original color management chart, which looks like this. This is our standard color management chart that produces a perfect custom profile for you and does an absolutely fantastic job, to be honest. However, we did find that it just needed a little bit more refinement. So what we did was we then created a couple more charts like this, which was the optimization process, and I'll show you how I do that on the computer in a second. And this basically fills in any gaps that the profile is lacking. So you can see here, there's a lot of grey areas down the side here, and lovely colour patches here going right through, just to kind of fill in those gaps. But let me talk you through actually how we do it. And this is a service we can offer, but there is a small charge to it. So the best thing to do is drop us an email at sales@photospeed.com, and we can let you know what that charge is and what we need to do to actually go about the process and how we get that started. Okay, but let me show you, let's dive into the computer and let me show you the process basically of how we go about it. Now, the first thing you need to do is you will need to firstly have a custom profile made, a standard custom profile made. So printing off one of these charts and us creating the profile for you. And then that gets emailed back for you and you can install it. I've put a link in the description below to the video that I did breaking down how to do that on different computers and different systems and different printers and things. But it's very simple. We just need to print one of these charts off with no color management or profile assigned, post it into us, we scan it and we email the profile back to you. It's at that point we can look at optimizing, and then if you contact us, we can actually look to kind of do that for you. So what happens is in our software, this is i1 Profiler, which is what we use to profile your papers. And you can see here I've got my generic profiles selected that I made. Actually, it was the 9th of the 6th, so it wasn't that long ago that we were kind of filming and editing these videos. And then what we basically would say is we tell the software that we're going to base it on this profile here. We basically tell it how many patches we want. In this case, to produce 2 pages of A4 patches, which is what we went. We went a bit over the top and we went for 2000 and it created these 2000 patches. Now you can see here, if I change this to say 500, the number of patches actually changed that we've got to play with here. But like I said, in this video, we went for the 2000 mark and we just made those there. What this will do is generate that amount of patches for you, 2000 little squares. And then we can click on the next tab across, which is the test chart. And this is where we can size it. We're working on A4, but you can actually print these off on A3 and A2. The problem is our machine only scans A4. So a little bit of a problem there, but the option is there. And then what we would do, or I would do, is I would then click on Save As, and I would save these 2 files as TIFF files for you. And it's at that point we save all this data and we have a record of that. So when your chart comes in, when we go to the measurement section, we can then select the profile, we can call up that page data, and then we will have the 2 charts here that we can scan and create the profile. And then what we can do is resave it and we can call it optimized for you and we can create that perfect profile. So it sounds really complicated, but actually it's quite a nice, easy process for us. It's pretty much automated, to be honest. It's just generating these charts. So let me show you how much of a difference it actually makes, though, in practice. So on our video, it did make a bit of a difference. It did bring in some shadow detail. We got a more neutral print out of the printer. But actually, if I just bring up the color sync utility, we can actually get a 3D model of our profile. And if I can move it around here, you can see that I've got my color space and gamut here, and you can see what is happening. Now this is the standard profile I've got here. If I just click on the one just below it, that is the optimized profile. And you have to watch very carefully because it is very subtle, the difference. Now, if I just move it up a little bit, you'll notice down here the blue areas. I'm just going to switch backwards and forwards a little bit, and you'll see it just very slightly shifts. So there is a very slight difference in actually what's happening. Let me just try it from this angle. You'll start to see just things very slightly shifting, and it all just moves, especially the green areas. This is probably a good angle actually. These green areas here, they just shift to the left a little bit. It just creates a little bit more kind of neutral. Makes it a little bit more symmetrical perhaps. So there is a change. It is very, very slight. Actually in practice, if our eye would see that, it is a little bit arguable, I suppose, but the option is there. And as we saw from a black and white point of view, and especially if you've got a printer with less, like the Canon 8750 here, then it does make a bit of a difference, and it does create a better neutral print. You get a grey instead of something with a little bit of magenta or a little bit of cyan in and something. And it does improve just in those shadow details very, very slightly. I would add, in most cases, 95% of the time, the standard profile on this chart here will work perfectly and be absolutely fine. Now, it's only if, say, you're doing something in the extreme, like black and white printing, I suppose, is on a printer that only has one grey ink, a bit like the 8750 here, that we might need to go down the route of having these done. In most cases though, I say most people will get one of these made and it will look absolutely fine. But we wanted to do a little bit of a separate video just to show you the process and to actually see what we are doing behind the scenes. So, on that note, if you haven't watched the video where we compare the prints and compare the 8750 against the Pro 300 from Canon, then please just check this video up here and that will take you straight to it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and also don't forget to sign up to our newsletter and download our free ebook called The Art of Printing. So until next week, bye bye.